Hi everyone, in this series of videos we'll be talking about different steps for writing expository or argumentative papers. This first video in particular we will get into how to write an outline, as well as some tips of what to focus on while you're writing your outline and some things not to worry about. So the first thing that you want to do is reread your research question. Based on the research that you've done so far, you then want to ask yourself, how would you best answer this question? This answer is your thesis and it needs to be in your introduction paragraph. Your thesis is not your question. Your thesis is the answer to that question. Hopefully all the sources that you've been reading and taking notes on and including in your annotated bibliography gave you some sense of an answer. You also want to make sure that you state your answer like a fact and avoid adding phrases at the beginning like I think, I believe, or I feel. Those really weaken your claim. So just state it as if it's true, because your paper, the whole goal of writing your paper is to prove that it is true based on the research that you have done. The next thing that you want to do is reread your annotated bibliography as well as any additional notes that you have on your research. And while you're reading, what you want to look for are key points or arguments that support your answer to your research question. So what are the specific things you can point to that informed your own point of view, that gave you that answer that is now your thesis statement? Those key points or arguments are going to be the topics for your body paragraphs. You really do want to focus, though, on combining similar ideas from multiple sources into the same paragraph. You should not be separating your paper out where it's one paragraph for each source that you researched. Hopefully you came across some common ground. If it really largely just focuses on one research source in a paragraph, that's okay. You just don't want to intentionally organize it that way. So if you have multiple sources that came up with key points that are very related to each other, those should all go in the same paragraph or paragraphs. They should not be split up just because they came from different sources. Your paper is really the time to combine similar ideas. When you're thinking of arranging your body paragraphs, you want to ask yourself what readers of your paper need to know to understand your key points. So is there any contextual information? Is there just background information that people need to know so that everything else you say makes sense? And if there is, make sure that that comes in the earlier body paragraphs. Your readers should be able to understand your paper even if they haven't done all the research themselves. The point of your paper is to explain what you found, so you don't want to leave them in the dark or too confused. You also want to be asking yourself as you outline how one of your key points ties into the next. If there's really no connection, reconsider the order that the paragraphs are in. See if there's a different order you can arrange them into where the ideas flow smoothly and it makes sense. And then lastly, you want to reread both your research question and the thesis. That's the answer to your research question. And you want to ask yourself, what key ideas do you want people to understand after reading your paper? And then those will go in your concluding paragraph. What do you really, really want your readers to walk away with? As well as what aspects of your research question are still unanswered and why. There could be and probably will be things outside of your control that prevent you from being able to have a fully definitive or conclusive answer to your research question. So it's okay to acknowledge those things. That shows your strength as a researcher and a writer, that you are aware of what is still in need of being explored. And what significance does your research have? Why should people read your paper? What is the point of looking all of this up? All of these things will then go in your concluding paragraph. While you're writing your outline, I think it's very easy to get caught up in certain things and lose sight of the main point of writing an outline. So just to help you out, this is what I recommend you prioritize and what you don't prioritize. So I recommend that you prioritize having a clearly indicated introduction, a clear thesis, clear body paragraph topics, that you're clear on which evidence you'll use within each body paragraph, and that you are clear on what main points you're going to have in your conclusion. I also really want you to prioritize synthesizing your evidence, so bringing similar pieces of evidence together and having them work side by side, rather than, like we talked about, having that set up where it's one paragraph for each source. This is the stuff in this column over here that people tend to get tripped up on. I recommend not prioritizing it. It really doesn't make a difference. Just make a quick decision and move on. First of all, the setup, whether you do numbered, outline, or bullet points, just go with your gut, whatever makes most sense to you. Don't worry during the outline stage about complete sentences, except for maybe the thesis. It's okay just to have certain fragments of ideas. And don't worry while you're writing your outline about general formatting. Do keep in mind your final paper should be Times New Roman 12-point font. However, you don't need to worry about stuff like that right now for the outline. So hopefully those tips help you get started, and keep checking back into this series for more on what to do from there.